Hey there! You're listening to Sunsisterpodcast. This podcast is following my interrail trip across Europe during the spring of 2023. For 3 months, I interviewed women I met along the road to talk about their personal stories and women's rights in their country. Today, you'll be listening to Nicole from South Africa. Nicole has been living in Austria for many years now, but she was born and raised in Cape Town. After a career as a pastry chef, she joined a young travel agency in Vienna. I met her during a city tour of Ljubljana, and then we kept traveling together in Slovenia for a few more days, a very green country where we had a blast sharing both nature moments and party times. We recorded this in a pretty noisy restaurant drinking wine where we laughed a lot and cried a bit. It was at the very start of May 2023. In this episode, we talked about fatphobia, gender-based discrimination at work, and comedian women. Enjoy! So, first of all, thank you so much for being here and welcome to this podcast. So just to give some context, so I met Nicole here actually yesterday and because we were both doing a tour in Ljubljana in Slovenia, and we've been traveling and walking around the city yesterday, so it was beautiful. And now we're seated in a little coffee in Ljubljana and having a glass of wine, I gotta say. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So to start with, can you please tell us what is your inner weather today?
Sunshine. Definitely sunshine.
Okay, I'm so glad. Contrast with what we have outside.
Yeah, it doesn't reflect the weather at all.
That's good. We need sun.
Yes.
So Nicole, you were born and raised in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Could you please tell us what is your life story?
Sure.
As long as you want, can be short also.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Cape Town, South Africa.
Amazing.
I lived there until I was 17, at which age I finished school and left for the big bad world. No, I'm kidding. I went on a gap year and I worked in the UK for a few months.
Amazing.
And then I traveled around Sweden, France, Italy, mostly woofing, so volunteering in exchange for basically just a bed, sometimes food, but not often.
Okay.
Yeah, and during that year I decided that I wanted to become a chef, and I went back home and I applied for culinary school.
Amazing.
Studied that for a year and got my first job as a chef at the end of 2013. I worked as a chef, pastry chef, for approximately 5 years. During that time I moved to Austria, to the middle of nowhere in Styria. It's beautiful, yeah. I got a really nice job there, but after a few months it was nothing for me. It was, I was living in a place where there were more cows than humans, and I'm a city girl, so I moved to Vienna. And I don't really know how I ended up staying. Whenever people ask me that question, I don't know how to answer it. I took steps that led me to stay in Vienna.
Okay.
And then in 2018, I want to say, I was diagnosed with celiac disease, so I couldn't be in a pastry kitchen anymore. And I decided to study tourism and leisure management, which was somewhat close to hospitality, and I graduated from from tourism in 2021.
Great, so you went back to studying.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, it was hard. During COVID I ended up having to go back home, so I graduated online.
Oh, this is sad.
It was quite sad. It was a very weird experience. There was no applauding. It was just those Microsoft Teams emojis, the clapping emojis. It was not exciting at all, and when I hung up from the call, it was as if nothing had happened at all. But I got my degree.
Great.
And at the beginning of last year, 2022, I headed back to Vienna, started looking for an apartment, started looking for a new job. I was just determined that I wanted to go back to Europe and live there. I found my first job at an online travel agency, still very much in its startup phase. And it's been almost a year that I've been working there. And here I am.
I didn't know you studied again. That's pretty impressive. And when you're celiac, you also cannot manipulate the ingredients?
I can touch it. The problem is when you're dealing with flour, if you pour flour into a bowl, like there's this big plume of flour smoke, and even inhaling that could be dangerous for me. Even if I don't experience any side effects, like any stomach pain or anything like that, ultimately it can damage the lining of my intestine, and I could be at risk for stomach cancer.
Oh wow!
So it's very serious, and I can't be in that environment at all.
Okay. Wow, that must have been a good, a big change, I want to say, not a good one.
Oh, it was a big change.
Yeah.
I say that I was diagnosed in 2018, but truth be told, it was 2017. It just took me a year to actually acknowledge it and accept it. And it really changed my lifestyle to strictly gluten-free.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing this life story. Is there one thing that makes you vibrate in your everyday life?
Dogs.
I saw that. I love that.
A little bit of a dog obsession. Sounds like a basic bitch kind of thing, but I love dogs.
I love it. I understand. Oh my god, we love animals. I love cats.
Love them. Good music. Good company. Nature.
Great.
And good food. And a combination of all of those things, oh my gosh, I'm like floating.
Ljubljana, right?
Pretty much.
We were thinking of moving in here, so that's why I'm saying. Are you in touch with your inner child?
It comes up sometimes in therapy. It definitely does.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm in touch with her yet.
Okay.
But we've exchanged looks every now and then.
I love the metaphor. Did you already picture her, like when meditating or when doing this therapy, or?
Yes. So usually in therapy, my therapist asks me to visualize her.
Okay.
And I also have a photo of myself with my dog as a child that is framed in my bedroom. So I try to look at that, and I think I saw it in an Instagram reel or something. Someone put a photo of her child self on her mirror, because you look in the mirror every morning.
Yeah.
And to look at that person and think to yourself, would you talk to her the way that you talk to yourself on a daily basis?
Oh, this is good.
And I think we are always our worst enemies. In my case, I'm definitely very, very harsh on myself. So I have that photo in my bedroom, and sometimes it helps me to look at her and think, she's so innocent, and she doesn't deserve such treatment. So be nice to yourself.
That's a very good strategy to do this. I might apply this to myself when I go home. I'm glad you meet her sometimes. That's amazing. I'm not in that stage yet.
You'll get there. I'm also just starting. We're getting reacquainted slowly.
Love it. All right, so thank you so much. Now focusing on your country of origin, how would you describe the situation for women and gender minorities in your country, in South Africa?
Terrible for women. we have a very big issue with gender-based violence.
All right.
Very big problem. For the other thing, gender minorities, I wish I could say more. Unfortunately, I can't. I've not lived in South Africa for quite a few years, and my experience is obviously going to be different to that of other people. My experience living and growing up in Cape Town is that the city centre is a very accepting place. It's a very open place, open-minded, diverse. Okay. But I am aware that the majority of our population is more conservative and old-fashioned in terms of everything. I think if you are a black person who's grown up in an informal settlement, and you are gay or you identify any other way, that's not acceptable.
Terrible.
And I also think in different parts of the country, it's also not acceptable. I think in capital cities, as is always the case, it's more open-minded, it's easier to be who you are. Countryside, farmers, African families, tricky. But like I said, I can't speak too much on that. But like I said, gender-based violence is a big problem in South Africa.
Very sad to hear that. Do you personally remember the first time you experienced gender inequality?
There's no single event that stands out to me. And to be honest, I haven't been acknowledging these things and making myself aware of these issues until a few years ago. Actually, when I started studying again and had a different circle of friends and
nice
people from all sorts of different backgrounds, and this was a topic that came up more and more. So I can't think of one specific event, but recently I've been noticing how almost indoctrinated I am with it. So I've been in my job for about a year now, and I think I can confidently say that I learned very, very fast. I am a fast learner, and it's not a very difficult job that I have, but it's quite complex in terms of our processes, and I learned those very, very fast. And my salary was not covering my rent with the rising costs, and I needed to ask for a salary raise, and that was such an uncomfortable situation for me.
Really?
It was so uncomfortable. I've never asked for a raise in my life.
It worked?
It did.
I'm glad.
Push, and I didn't get the amount that I wanted.
Okay.
And I was probably a little bit too soft about it as well, come to think of it. But things like that, not feeling like I am worthy of earning more.
Yeah, I see.
And this has come up in conversation quite a lot because I have a mentor at work who's teaching me business analysis.
All right.
And I was discussing this with him, and to hear salary negotiations from a man's perspective really opened my eyes. To how indoctrinated I am into thinking that it's an uncomfortable conversation and I should be delicate about it. No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I am worth a certain amount, and I don't have to accept anything less than that. So unfortunately no specific event to come back to that.
No, but I mean, this is a good example, and I'm really impressed you managed to get a raise. I mean, it's not easy in those times.
No.
But I know the facts say, of course, that as women, we ask less.
Yeah.
I mean, less often.
Yeah.
Like and less money, for sure. Because of course, the feeling of not belonging there, of not being worse, as you said. So
Also applying for jobs.
Yeah.
Come to think of it.
Yes.
There's such a big difference. I would never apply for a job if I didn't meet 95% of the criteria. A man would maybe meet 60, 70% and just go for it.
It's true.
And why don't we as women do that?
Studies have shown this too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, come to think of it, that's also something that I experienced. And a friend of my sister's was kind enough to help me with my German CV and some cover letters. And he was saying to me, you don't have to sugarcoat
Yes.
what you're trying to sell. You're trying to sell yourself. If you worked as a pastry chef for 5 years, you can, how do I put this into words?
Expect.
Yeah, and don't be shy to explain what you've done, what your skills are. Even if you don't qualify for 90% of what they're asking for, shoot your shot, tell them you're the best, tell them why. And I've also never done that in a job application.
Okay.
I've been very humble, and my sentence structure is even different to what he helped me with. And I would say things like, I think I would be a great fit for your team, or a great addition to your team. And he made me restructure that. He said, no, you don't think, you know. You're applying for this job because you know.
Yeah.
And small changes like that.
I never thought of this.
Yeah.
So important, the words
Even
we
the
choose.
language.
Yeah.
I also never thought of that.
And was it easy to use those words?
No, it was really hard.
Oh wow.
Because we're taught to be like timid and meek and mild and me.
Yeah.
No, we can be not vicious, but we can just go for it. We can shoot our shot.
Yeah.
And we can be confident about the skills we have, and to the same degree as men are.
I agree so much on this. Yeah.
Good tips. I also apply this. This podcast is like you giving me tips in the end. I love this. So yeah, my next question was like, how do you address those issues? You kind of already answered, but how do you address in your general life gender inequalities when you experience them?
I think I'm generally quite an outspoken person, and if there's something that I feel is blatant, or I feel like something's being done on purpose, I speak up.
Right.
I think sometimes I'm too outspoken, but I
Never.
don't think it's a bad thing. For me, it's a very sensitive topic for me, because I feel living in a bigger body, I have a very different experience to that of other women, other quote unquote normal size women or thin women.
Yeah.
The inequality I feel is, I don't want to say tenfold, but it's certainly different, and it certainly sometimes feels like more. To be disregarded in some aspects. But I think for me there's so much shame around that, and I don't address that because I'm ashamed. I'm working on that though.
You're saying you don't address some issues because you're feeling ashamed?
Yeah,
Really?
of me, of my body.
All right.
being overlooked by certain people, being spoken to differently, being looked at differently.
Okay.
To the point that it's not even noticeable for friends sometimes. I have to say, oh, they were just making fun of me, or they were
Okay.
not nice to me. And my friends are like, what? What are you talking about? So I do think I experience it differently.
All right.
And I don't address it because of my shame. Yeah, well, it's a work in progress.
Really like fuck them, fuck society that makes you feel this, and you're more than legitimate to say whatever you want at any time, and of course to speak out, like, and I'm really ashamed that society makes you feel like this, and I really think and hope it's gonna change. I think it's gonna take a long time, but
Yeah.
really they really put so much pressure on our body and our physics, and we are so much more than this.
Yeah.
And I really fight for this, so don't feel ashamed and fucking speak. And yes, I hope those people have very bad karma and they just drown in the river. I don't know.
I was actually listening to a very interesting podcast on the bus to Maribor from Vienna, and there was a woman who was saying, like, why am I ashamed to call people out on it? They can already see me. They see that I'm fat. Like, why am I ashamed of calling them out and treating me differently because of that? They can already see. And that, I mean, it's very thought-provoking, but it is, people, or women especially, are really shamed for their size.
Yeah.
But hopefully it does change in the future, and I think, yeah, I should probably start speaking up about it more, just initiate some of that change, but there's that internal shame that I need to work on.
Yeah. Grossophobia, to name it, is a real problem, and I am surrounded by very safe persons, women and people from gender minorities too, not really guys actually, that make me feel like I don't care about my body. I don't care if I have hair on my legs. I don't care if I have hair on my arms. If I don't wear underwears, I don't know what you call it. Bras, yeah. If I don't have teeth, and it's so amazing. And when you're surrounded by people that are as free in their body and that makes you feel like we don't care about your body because it's just a body and it's just amazing to like have it already. Yeah. So yeah, I changed my surroundings in the past years on this, and I have more like a restrained circle now. But I'm in associations like where I don't know, it's amazing, and people don't even have gender sometimes, and you can be anything and change, and I think that's beautiful. So it's very important to be surrounded by people that make you feel safe, and I think it's really helpful for you.
Definitely. Yeah, I think I've also changed my circle. Maybe not changed it, but made it. I didn't really have much of a circle in Vienna before I started studying, and then I had a little circle of my university friends. And when I moved back to Vienna after being in Cape Town for 2 years, just about 2 years, wow, I didn't have a circle anymore.
Okay.
And the one that I've built for myself now, I think, is quite a good one.
Great.
I can't think of anyone who I don't feel safe with. And yeah, it's very important. And
I'm so
also,
glad.
your body is your body. It kind of just houses what's inside.
Yeah.
And what's inside is what matters most.
For sure.
You know, my friends could all look like Shrek, but I love them because they make me laugh, and I feel good with them.
It should not even be a topic, and
No, but we are superficial, as a race.
no. Let's hope for the better that it's gonna change. Really. Is there one thing that you are proud your country does for women and gender minorities? Could be also in Austria, I'm thinking. You kind of lived there for a few years now, so...
Yeah. I can't speak for Austria. I can speak for Vienna, which I think is almost like a little country within Austria, from what I experienced. Even Vienna, I think, is sometimes quite backwards. And again, my experience is quite different. I'm not... I don't think I'm treated quite as well as my friends are, or as other women are. But I think in Vienna, you know, I don't want to say something that I don't know is true and that I don't have experience on. And in fact, what I learned a while ago is that Austria has one of the biggest gender pay gaps in Europe.
Very sad.
It's very sad. As for South Africa, I also can't think of anything, to be honest. I mean, of course, there are several projects and NGOs doing incredible work, right? But the government itself, I can't say I know of anything that they're doing to address the issue.
And that's very sad.
It's pretty grim.
But yeah, but when it happens, I mean, of course it's never the priority. I cannot really think of or maybe northern countries, you know, Finland, always the same, like Sweden, you know, Canada, maybe, I don't know. So, yeah, sometimes it might be something priority, but otherwise, yeah. I was trying to introduce something positive, you know, the podcast, but maybe people are not going to think about anything. Because if I would have to ask for friends, I would also hesitate a long time, I think, to say it.
What would you say that
For
France is doing?
friends, something I'm proud of. Well, in the past years, some things have been done, some terrible things have been done too, like very negative things. Yeah, for instance, now the contraceptive pills are free until you are 25. So it's nice, but also, like if I say Italy, for instance, like a few days ago, they announced it would be free, like without limit of age, which is amazing, contraceptive pill. Then I would love for them to also do this for like male contraceptive, you know, like the ring, the warm underwear, I don't know what you call it in English. But yeah, that is something still, and also the menstrual protections now, they are free also, I think, until you're 18 or something like this, which is already something, I would say. Slowly, but maybe until 25, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Actually, come to think of it, I saw something in the news in Austria that they are thinking about making the pill free for women. It's not been put into place yet. I think it's just a discussion at the moment. But gosh, menstrual products cost so much in Austria.
Oh yeah?
Really. They cost more than in Germany, interestingly enough.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe the wages are lower.
I'm not sure. I think they're more or less on par. I don't know about that.
Okay.
but I visited some family friends near Salzburg a few months ago, but they lived just across the border, so in Germany.
Okay.
And we went to a supermarket, and I just happened to walk across tampons and pads, and I saw the price, and I was like, my gosh, and I stocked up on pads and tampons because it's almost double the price in Vienna.
It's crazy. You have to cross a border to, like, oh my god.
It's quite crazy. The HPV vaccine in Austria is free until a certain age. I believe.
Right.
I'm not sure which age. So I no longer qualify. I think it might only be until the age of 18 or something like that.
Right. Which vaccine, sorry?
HPV.
What is it again? HPV, like...
What is
it's
it
like for the
stand
uterus cancer?
Humanopapillovirus cancer.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in France too.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Alright.
It should always be free. I wanted to get the HPV vaccine because I had HPV a couple of years ago.
Oh.
It would cost me approximately 600, 700 euros.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm
For all
shocked.
3 vaccines. I can't afford
600?
that, so
That's crazy.
yeah. So hopefully Austria looks at that in the future.
Yeah.
In the near future.
Great. If you could change one thing that would reduce gender inequality instantly in your country, what would that be?
I think I would like, it's not possible, but I would love for men to experience a day in the life of a woman.
I love the answer. Yes.
It's sadly not possible, but I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks ago at work, actually, my colleague went home to Munich for the weekend.
Okay.
And she was at a club and needed to go to the bathroom. And she was going down this sort of corridor where men were lined up drinking, and you know, it was busy, it was a club. And she tried to sort of scooch past a group of men, and one of them lifted his knee and sort of wedged it into her crotch and stopped her from walking further.
Really?
And
What an asshole.
how disgusting, right? Can you imagine someone doing that to a man, or groping a man, or catcalling? I don't think, like, a lot of guys say, oh yeah, I would love that kind of attention. I don't think they would.
Oh no, yeah.
You know, it's unwarranted.
Yes.
You're not asking for that attention. It's uncomfortable. So I think it would be good for men to experience that.
Yes. Imagine a future where we can kind of, I don't know, have holograms or change our body for like one day and yeah.
Like Black Mirror episode.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I think a day in the life of your average woman would be pretty nice. You know, even if it's not a beautiful woman that is catcalled, maybe it's someone who's not socially acceptable, someone who's not quote unquote pretty.
Yeah,
Even
true.
women like that are shamed and you can't do anything right.
Yeah.
You're too thin, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that.
You speak too much, you don't speak enough.
Yeah,
You show too much, you don't show enough.
absolutely. Can't get it right. Do we do that to men? No.
I know. We don't care about the physical appearance, you know, we're just over-sexualized all the time in advertisement. If you want to sell a car, you're going to show like a body of a woman who is super artificial, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, governments, if you listen to us, please have the guys experience one day in the body of a woman. Now going into our second part, what is your own personal definition of feminism?
Equality for women.
Great. Yeah,
That's it.
straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just what we want. Do you consider yourself a feminist?
Yes, I do.
Great,
Definitely.
so glad. How do you express it?
That's an interesting question. I think I'm trying to educate myself more. I'm trying to open myself up more. I'm trying to have more conversations about it.
That's already amazing. That's a lot.
And I think I'm trying to come to grips with my experience as a woman. And yeah, I think that's how I'm slowly.
Beautiful.
Maybe I should have added this earlier, but working as a chef was also pretty tough. And
Right, I didn't thought about it. This is there.
No, it wasn't as bad as people think.
Okay.
A lot of people say,
Because you're the chef.
Yeah.
Also.
A
Good.
lot of people say like, oh, that must have been rough, and it wasn't as rough as I think you see on TV shows.
Yeah.
But it was rough, and there was another incident actually, which caused me to walk out of the job, where a waiter called me sweetheart or sweetie or something. I don't remember the exact phrase, and I said to him, please don't call me that. My name is Nicole. If you don't remember my name, you can call me chef.
Wow, I love it.
And it was a really fancy restaurant, like la-di-da. And this waiter went to my head chef, complained about me, and I was given talking to. I was told that I can't speak to waiters like that.
Really?
And yes. And it was during that conversation where I was told that I'm, I don't know, arrogant and think too much of myself and blah blah blah, that I walked out.
That's very brave, and I'm so glad you did. You were younger also.
Fuming. Yeah, I was. What year was that? 2017. 22, 23? I was fuming.
He told you you're arrogant for asking someone to not call you with a very submissive and not okay word.
No, it was not. I'm sure there were some other small things that led up to my chef having that conversation with me. But the way I was spoken to after being talked down to, don't call me sweetheart, like,
Yay.
I have a name. And I said very calmly and very nicely that I don't want to be called sweetheart. And I was sort of punished for that.
I hope you taught them a lesson.
I don't think I did.
I think, girl.
It's really hard in that industry.
Oh yeah.
You have to have very thick skin, unfortunately. My skin was not thick.
Well, so glad this belongs to the past.
Me too.
Is there a feminist book, movie, or piece of art, or even a person that inspires you?
Celeste Barber.
Oh yeah, I love that girl.
Absolutely
Australian.
love her. Yeah,
She's amazing.
absolutely love her.
She's beautiful.
She is.
She's fun and beautiful.
She is. I think her and I just love.
I'm so glad you mentioned her.
I love how unapologetic she is about herself.
Yay.
Also, Amy Schumer, I think, is incredible.
Was she? Maybe I know her, but
She's in that. She's a blonde comedian.
amazing.
She is in that movie. I think it's called I Am Pretty.
Okay.
She's. I think she's pretty. She's maybe an average-looking woman. She's nothing special, I guess. I don't know, I don't want to sound horrible.
Really?
You might need to cut that out.
No worries. But our body is natural, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally normal.
Yeah.
Your average woman. And I think she was at a spinning class. So in the movie, she's at a spinning class and she falls over and hits her head and is knocked unconscious. And when she wakes up, she thinks she's the most beautiful person in the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so she goes about life completely differently. With this
Amazing.
incredible confidence, thinking that she's like God's gift to earth. And
I love
it's awesome. So I really like her, and she's also a comedian, so she does stand up, and the way that she talks about herself and her confidence, and I really admire it.
She's right, of course. Like beauty is about confidence. I think it's like, I don't know. I mean, beauty first is everywhere, but like if you feel beautiful, I think people would just feel that's this, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think those two, but Celeste Barber always gets me. Whenever I see one of her new reels on Instagram, I'm like,
It makes my day.
I love her. With the stomach rolls and, you know, the flabby arms.
Yay.
Love it.
Rolling on the beach, like, I don't know, she's so good.
She is.
I am so glad. Well, thank you for the love. I think female comedians I don't know, I follow many of them on Instagram, either like English speaking ones or French, even Italian speaking ones actually. And I think they're really a game changer, like, you know, it feels so good to have women make you laugh, because they don't laugh about the usual things people, white male, do. Like, they would laugh about women, they laugh about like, they would make racist jokes or homophobic jokes, and I think women are very fun.
We are.
Yeah, we are. Oh my god. Alright, so we're going towards the final part. Do you consider yourself well surrounded? You kind of mentioned this already a bit.
In terms of my social life?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
Amazing. Did you experience sorority? And if so, in what ways?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. I tend to be more of a one-on-one person, so my friends, I like to spend time with them one-on-one. I've never really had a group.
Okay.
Except for university. Sorority, not so much. But I think I feel very close, and I feel like I have quite a special bond with my friends individually. And one of them, I love her to bits. She always says, who you're dating is the least interesting thing about you. And she's trying to make new friends in Vienna, and every time she meets new people, and they ask her if she's got a boyfriend, she's like, write you off. She will write you off.
Really?
Yeah. Why do you care? Why do you care if I'm dating someone? Like, yes, I have a boyfriend. They're in a very stable relationship. They've been together for a long time. It's long distance, but it works well for them. She's like, why do you care? That's the least interesting thing about me.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're dating anyone either.
Society defines us on our social, like, if we belong to a guy or not. You know? Terrible.
I went on an exchange to Germany when I was in school.
Great.
And I was at like a hostel in northeast Germany for 6 weeks. My German was not very good at the time, and there were a few girls that I was talking to during a lunch break, and one of them asked me, do you have friends? No, sorry, do you have a friend? And in Germany you say, hast du einen Freund?
Okay.
And I understood that to mean, do I have a friend?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, of course, I have several friends. And then they laughed at me and they were like, no, we're asking if you have a boyfriend. I was like, oh, no. But does it matter?
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
Yay.
You are who you are, separate. You're a separate human.
Yeah, from your personal life.
Yeah.
Intimacy life.
Yeah.
Good answer. I might answer the same thing, you know, like, yeah, I have many boyfriends. I don't have many actually, but if you could say something to your past 10 years old, what would that be?
Wow. To my 10-year-old self, what would I say? I think I would tell her not to feel any shame and not to feel weird and not to feel bad about being different. I thought there was something wrong with me when I was young.
Okay.
Because I was not very social. I preferred reading books to being with people. Although granted, I was bullied a lot, so I guess you can understand why I only wanted to be in the library.
I'm sorry you experienced this.
I'm sorry too. But I think I would just tell her not to let it bother her, or to try not to let it bother her, and just continue. Wait, I would say, you do you, boo.
Quick, simple.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Something like that.
Do you think you can apply this? You can say this to yourself now?
Yeah, and I think I do.
Amazing.
More and more. Like being on this solo trip now.
Yay, right. I didn't mention this, right?
Yeah, that was quite a big step for me.
And you're doing this brilliantly.
Yeah, so I think I'm applying that more and more.
I think that's a great message. Would you like to change or add something for to your definition of the feminism that you gave earlier?
No, I don't think so. For me, at the end of the day, it is about equality. I could complicate it to make other people who have a different idea of feminism feel more comfortable, or to make them understand it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people view it as something very aggressive and, you know, women taking over the world. No. I say equality, although I'm no expert.
And that's perfect. And finally, as a South African woman, Austrian too, what message would you like to share to other women and people from gender minorities around the world?
You do you, boo.
Love it.
Gosh, I don't know. I think yes, you do you, boo, and I think we all need to sort of dismantle the feelings of shame that so many of us have about who we are. Who gives a flying fuck?
Right.
And I think if you ever need to remind yourself that no one gives a fuck, travel by yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, no one is going to remember you the next day.
True.
Surround yourself with good people who will remember you the next day. Everyone else doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And they don't have a say.
Powerful. Well, thank you so much. We're done. Thank you for sharing all of this, and I think it was very educative for everyone. Or what you say, very powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have tears in the eyes.
It was Sun Sister Podcast. Thank you for listening and see you next Friday.